you recognize Remington from the stream earlier today. Dane ended up finishing, I think, 10th or 11th place at U.S. Nationals. So a respectable showing, though he did not make it into the top cut. Remington is still, he got to the table second. He's still setting up his dice. Of course, we recognize his team and distribution from before. Nova is the surprising guy here. I wasn't really expecting a Nova team, but yesterday, Julie, in talking about her burn team, was like, yeah, we don't have a second copy of Nova, and so that's why she wasn't using him then. But so Nova, Jinzo, Hulk, it really is the who's who of the big threats, and Constantine just hopes to slow the game down so you get to that point. And I think it's a cool difference from I guess a lot of the uses for him I had imagined. I imagined that he would be, just the next two-cost tiny guy with an awesome ability who would go and ruin your opponent's day. Remington's got a big advantage going first with a Gabi buy. If he gets those lucky rolls like he did against Sean Eli, Dane is going to have a serious issue. But Dane does get a turn 1 Constantine, and he's going to be rolling 7 dice next turn. So Remington's a little bit behind on the ramp, and I believe this is the opportunity position for Dane. But Remington does end up able to get another Gabi, and he's gonna do some serious ramp. Oh, so he used Resurrection. Okay, so Remington is so let's see. Let's count the psychic showing. So there's 5 psychic show. Oh, six showing. So next turn he's gonna draw two Gabis and 2 psychics. This is not some happy accident. This is Remington has played a ton of Dice Masters and understands exactly the economics for different situations. Resurrection does its own thing, Blue Eyes does its own thing, Professor X does its own thing, and you put them together, and there's a lot of different favorable sequences for you. So Dane is a little consternated here on what's the perfect way to go. He's got plenty of stuff to ramp with, so he's going to use Resurrection and guarantee himself 2 Constantine dice next turn. So rolling only 1 Constantine die, he has a 75% chance of getting it out. But rolling 2, he let's see. So it'd be 12.5% chance of missing, 6.125 chance of him missing a Constantine next turn. Very, very unlikely, but we've seen some very unlikely things this weekend, so... Okay. Oh, that is, not the best. But yeah, so Remington just saying basically, hey, I'm happy with bolts, or I'm happy with sidekicks. And between too cool for words and, whatever I get, I'll be okay. So he spins down Gabi to field Gabi, dealing 1 damage to Dane. So both players wanted to use pen and paper in addition to the life trackers because they are aware of the possibility of something getting knocked or misplaced. So Dane is at 19, and he uses Professor X's global a bunch. Exactly a bunch of times. So interestingly enough, Dane is playing distraction. So another way for him to slow the game down. Remington does have a Duke Caliber Knight, but his access is not live because he does not have a fist energy. But Dane did not choose to use distraction. He just took the damage, so Dane is down to 16. Okay, so Dan's got his roll. Looks like he's got the Constantine die. Uh, oh. Someone's being really kind to offer and get me lunch, guys. This is the kind of coworkers you need. So getting okay. Do we just see the 6% odds? Is this the nightmare scenario? No, Dane gets instead 2 Constantine dice, so he still only gets to call one character because it's a while active ability, and Jinzo is going to come into play. Jinzo is really interesting by here because it's going to allow him to put Remington on that clock, but it's not going to necessarily give him a way to win the game. So the Hulk on the flip side could do that. So it looks like Remington has forced Constantine to attack, and so there's 2 of them. There's some redundancy there, and Remington is effectively paying in life for the bonus of not having to deal with Constantine. So I'm sure it's only going to be a little bit before he notices to adjust his life tracker, because both him and Dane did update their paper. I mean, just roll enough dice, you will achieve sidekicks. I think Remington's favored to probably get 2 sidekicks on average for this sequence here. Like, oh, you are likely to get 1 sidekick, perfect distribution. Now he's going to re-roll almost everything that's not a sidekick. He's still pretty likely here to get a sidekick. And he misses, but it's not a huge miss. It's not a surprising miss. It wasn't like he was overwhelmingly likely. Okay, so 2 more damage to Dane. Oh, no damage, Dane. Dane called Gabi with Constantine, as he should have. It is the only character die that Remington's bought. Remington is probably perfectly happy to just keep cycling dice. So I don't know how I feel about that play. I would entertain the notion of buying a die first and then using Resurrection, so you could make sure that you have something else beneficial in the mix. That beneficial thing perhaps being Black Widow, because Jinzo sometimes has an issue with the Black Widow Storm. But there's also the possibility that Dane from here proceeds to get somebody like Hulk going for him. Okay. That is not Dane's roll. That is just the dice he will be rolling. That is... it's not... It's all the sidekick dice. That's really, really maximum unfortunate. Remington has... Okay, so Remington... Oh, jeez. That is a lot of shields and fists. I think he is just going to keep the sidekick in the question mark and reroll everything else. I think that's the way to go. Remington could use his bolts for Slifer, but he could just as easily use them for his Phoenix Global. The reason he shouldn't use the Phoenix Global is because Dane plays Distraction, and he can just pull back his Constantine. That's the sort of mistake that would be really easy for a newer player to make, because, hey, this is part of my strategy. This is the strategy I practice with. And who cares what my opponent brought? No, your opponent's globals matter a great deal. There, of course, there's a Jinzo. If that Jinzo came out, it would be really damaging for Remington to have to try and use Slifer as a removal mechanism for Constantine. It's almost a linchpin system with those two. That, hey, you can do damage to my Constantine, but you're going to take even more damage. Not just some, but double. So this is pretty good for Dane, all things considered. He's got a lot of sidekicks he's blocking. Oh well, there's -1 sidekick. And Remington passes priority for the attack step now. I think Dane's gonna pass again, yeah. So Dane's not gonna Oh no, okay. Yes, Remington to the end of the attack step. Oh no, he didn't. He didn't need to ramp at all because he already had enough stuff socked away. Okay. So rerolls everything. That was not what he wanted. Okay. That's a pretty good roll. So Fist, Wild, Bolt, Mask, Gabi. So spends one, fields Gabi, burns Dane down a little bit. Then he's gonna not have a ton of energy on, like, seriously, that is just not quite enough. There's not a so this is part of where, like, Relentless being in the mix would really matter, because you could try and Relentless twice and start to put Dane in that critically low range where he has to kind of abandon his offense to maintain a solid defense. Yeah, so, you know, the appropriate play: attack with both Gabis, block with both sidekicks. So Remington, it wouldn't be unreasonable for him to have KO'd a sidekick with Slifer's Global, but he knows that he's got Phoenix, and he knows that he's got that Wild, and the Slifer is better, the energy is better saved for dealing with that Constantine. There's really just no reason to kind of say, oh, I have an opportunity, let me as quickly as possible use my ability. Many times it makes sense to wait as late as possible to use your resources, because you have as much information as possible. I've talked about how in some games there's secret information that my opponent might have cards in hand, or I have cards in hand, or I don't know what the top card of my own deck is, or something like that. Here in Sudden Dice Masters, the secret information is the future, so by waiting through time to get to that new information, you're giving yourself such an enormous advantage. Okay. So here, now we're going to start to see distraction be really, really critical. Because Phoenix is probably part of Remington's answer to Jinzo, but he's just gonna, it's going to take a lot of life to start dealing with Jinzo. Remington has 9 globals remaining before he loses the game. That is my Jinzo clock. He and Rally, of course, has fewer because Dane will find a way to push through for some damage, but it's a scary reality. Okay, so Remington chooses not to deal with taking that damage from Jinzo, which I think is very, very smart move. Dane might not have called something with Constantine, which is perfectly reasonable because he knows that there's not the way for Remington to roll and then field whatever die. Okay, so he uses Blue Eyes as global, takes 2, goes to 16, spends 2, buys Spider-Man. Ooh, okay, so one of the cool things about buying Spider-Man here is by forcing characters to everyone to block Spider-Man, it's going to allow his Gabis to get through unfettered, as it were, and those Gabis are going to be doing a substantial amount of damage. Those sidekicks are going to do a lot of damage. It's also an opportunity to use an ability that Constantine and Jinzo don't really get around to punish you for. So Dane is going to take 2 and get 2 generic energy here. So now we're entering territory of, oh, well, if Spider-Man's good, so is Millennium Puzzle, and we'll see exactly how that goes down. One of the interesting things too is that distraction could help get around the Spider-Man problem, but every mask used in that way is one mask that you have to keep after Phoenix Globals. So, ooh, Dane's got a polymorph and a ton of energy. He has to be thinking, like, where do I go? What is the way to go here? No matter how good you are, when there's just so many options, you really have to just pause and think, have I not thought of something? can I catch my opponent off guard? Have they not thought of something? I also imagine there's definitely added pressure of being on camera. Dane and Remington are both probably in the top 16 and probably have their invite to play in Worlds tomorrow at this point. But it's not a certainty by any means. And so Dane gets the Hulk going. Ooh. Wow. So Remington has nothing in his reserve pool, so he knows that he doesn't have to worry about the Phoenix Global. He also knows that Remington's not going to, make some gross error and toss away a bunch of life points to Jinzo and his while active ability. Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to see someone polymorph in a Slifer. I'm not even going to pretend. It's 7 attack. It might be one of the bigger guys. But of course, it is simply not as big as 4-cost Wolverine when attacking alone. But hey, as part of some other swarm or combination, it might make sense for someone at some point. And not to mention if you can poly him up. Oh, so crazy. Oh, Remington just like, yeah, no, that's the end of the game. I can't do anything. Dane's team is a really, really controlling build, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about it in just a moment, as soon as the players have cleaned up and filled out their match slip. I really do applaud Dane's going for the Hulk play. I think the polymorph is part of what makes that so incredibly strong as a thing to go for. Players are starting to mill around. We can tell that we've got some time left on the clock. Something that had been said yesterday is that Human Torch is really, really good against Jinzo. But so Dane has brought 2 different characters that are not good to have for Human Torch, and those are Hulk and Nova. So the fact that Dane's got those 2 answers, I also really like that Dane is not playing some gimmick team. He's just playing a lot of solid cards that are cohesive. At the end of the day, you can build a non-gimmick Nova team and go really, really far with it. Because if someone's prepared for whatever gimmick team you've got, it really just becomes problematic. It's like, well, does your team do anything anymore? And that Constantine is a just say no to gimmicks kind of guy. So let's get Dane over here so we can talk to him for a little bit.